So a warm welcome to all of you. Uh, Today I'm going to teach you about the concept related to limitations of business research. The limitations of business research includes lack of fund, no centralized database, no coordination among researchers, lack of library management, absence of ethics in research, lack of proper contacts between research departments, no trust on researchers, lack of skilled researchers, data manipulation. So the first one, lack of funds. So when we are going to investigate a scientific research study or social science research study, we should have a sufficient funds. Unless otherwise, when you are not having sufficient funds, it's very tough to conduct research in any area. Suppose when we are trying to conduct research in scientific area, we should be able to purchase various equipments, various devices, various motors, various peripherals, tools, gadgets, spares, and all these things are necessary to conduct a research in technical area. Even in engineering, especially when we want to conduct a research in engineering, what we required is we require all these variety of tools, equipments, devices, motors, peripherals, gadgets, and all these things. So how we can able to get all these things? Unless otherwise, when we are not having sufficient fund in our hand, it's very tough to conduct research in any area. Even in social science research also, we need to conduct a survey. So when we are going to conduct a survey, obviously we have to travel from one place to another place, and we have to roam from one place to another place. The contingency expenditure, the traveling expenditure, the logistic expenditure, and all these variety of expenditures will be included. So far, we should have a sufficient fund in our hand when we want to run a systematic research, either in a scientific study or in social science study. So that's the reason why even our state government, central government coming forward to grant various fellowships to the research scholars under Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship, Maulana Azad National Fellowship, Junior Research Fellowship, and DST assistance and Inspira assistance, ICSSR projects. There are various funding agencies are coming forward to facilitate the researchers, especially with respect to financial support. So unless otherwise, when we are not having a sufficient financial support, it's very tough to run a research in any area, whether it is belongs to a scientific investigation or a social science investigation. So that's the reason why we should have a sufficient fund to run any research. And the second foremost thing, no centralized databases. So as we know that when we are trying to conduct a research in any area, what we should have is a hands-on literature. We should have a sufficient literature in our hand. So when we want to have a sufficient literature, what we require is a centralized databases. The centralized databases are the sources to extract various journals, magazines, and articles, and published articles and theses. So we should have a repository to collect the data related to that particular problem area. Unless otherwise, when we are not having a centralized database facility, unless otherwise, when we are not having a sufficient literature information in the form of textbooks, reference books, magazines, articles, newsletters, published articles, unpublished articles, theses, all these are the various sources we should have to conduct an effective research to get the literature from various sources. For this, what we required is a centralized databases. Centralized databases. So centralized databases, the digital library management will facilitate the researchers to collect literature from various sources, which includes this Scopus index journals and SCI index journals and IEEE indexing journals. So in all such, the hi-fi research studies will help us in a most extent manner to conduct a research in an effective manner. And the next one, no coordination among researchers. So the no coordination among researchers will speaks that. So when we are conducting a research, the basic purpose to conduct a specific research is to come up with the best possible decision making. And whoever conducting research in a specific area, the researchers should have a strong coordination among them. By sharing a valuable content or a valuable information from one department to another department. So when they can able to share the department transparently from one department to another department, then ultimately we can come up with the best possible solution related to that particular problem. But the thing, what exactly is happening, we cannot show that much of, we are not having that much of coordination among the researchers and even the researchers and the research scholars, the guides. This makes, whatever the output that we are extracting after all performing a particular research analysis, the output of the research, it's not that much of effective. So that's the reason why what we required is a proper coordination, cooperation, a congenial, harmonious relationship among the researchers, whoever conducting a research in a particular area. And the next one, lacking of library management. We should have such a good library facility. So this library facility with reference books, textbooks, authored books, articles, magazines, journals, and all these things will facilitate to a researcher to conduct a research work in an effective manner. And at the end of the day, the researcher, whatever the research, he will come up with the best possible decision making, right? The validity of the decision making will place a very crucial role. The reliability of the decision will place a very crucial role. So when we want to come up with a best possible decision, a reliable possible decision to a particular research problem, we should have a centralized database facilities and digital library management facility to extract the valuable information from various sources, like from magazines, journals, articles, newspapers, newsletters, other books, textbooks, all these are the various sources. When we can able to extract the content from all these sources, right? Ultimately, whatever the solution that we are trying to generate to a particular problem, it will be more effective and accurate. And the next one, absence of ethics in research. So as research studies proven that whatever the pandemic that we are having now, the COVID-19, as literatures are trying to prove that it is an unethical research which has been done in some X country. So when we did a research in a particular area, it has to show the welfare of the society. It has to prove the welfare of the society. Unless otherwise, the outcome of the research, if it is not for the welfare of the society, that will fall under the unethical research. Even that leads to a third world war or even the bio wars also. So that's the reason why when we are trying to conduct a research in a specific area, it should have a noble cause. It should have a social cause. It should have a social cause. And the outcome of the research should facilitate for the welfare of the society. It has to create ample advantages to the society. But the thing, what is happening, in most of the situations, the outcome of the research, whatever which come across, it is not even giving that much of advantages for the welfare of the society. So whoever the person is conducting a research in a particular area, he should be more honest. He should be more honest. There should not be any subjective biases. There should be more objectivity in the research. The outcome of the research should be able to generalize in all contexts. So that's the reason why we need to avoid subjectivity from the research, and there should be a more objectivity. It should have a noble cause. The outcome of the research should facilitate for the welfare of the society. So unethical researchers has to be avoided, right? The next one, lack of proper contacts between the research departments. So we have so many research agencies throughout the India, even the national research agencies and even international research agencies, right? The information has to flow in a sequential order from one department to another department, transparently from one department to another department, so that the object of the research will be fulfilled. The object of the research will be fulfilled. Unless otherwise, there is no transparency to transfer the valuable information from one department to another research department, then ultimately the validity or the accuracy of the research will come down. So because of when no such kind of sufficient information to a researcher from a research department, ultimately he cannot conduct a good research in that particular area. So that's the reason why all the research department, all the research agencies, not only in India, even in abroad, should have a congenial, harmonious, and a good contact relationship among the all types of departments. And the next one, no trust on researchers. So whoever conducting a research in a particular area, the person should be more honest, and you should never imply subjective biases in the research. He has to work for objectivity for the research. All times he has to work for objectivity in the research, in the sense, whatever the outcome which will come from a particular research study, as it is, he has to generalize to the common phenomena. But what exactly is happening? The research is happening in such a manner, and whatever the researcher thinks, whatever the researcher want to prove in general, whatever the researcher want to prove, the same thing he is trying to prove in market. It is a wrong phenomenon, right? It is a wrong thing. So whatever that I want to prove related to a particular research, if I try to prove, it's not a valid research. So what I can able to prove over here, whatever the output genuinely will comes from a particular research, that it has to be shown in front of the people, right? If it happens, that is what we call a genuine research. But what exactly is happening in the contemporary phenomena? A researcher will have a kind of idea related to a problem area, and whatever he wants to prove, he is trying to extract the same output from the particular research. Whatever he wants to prove from that particular problem area, he is trying to prove that particular thing only. So that is also a kind of unethical practice in the research area. So whoever is conducting a research in a particular area, he should be more honest. He should be more honest, and He should show much credibility while doing his job as a researcher. And the next one, lack of skilled researchers. When a person, whoever is conducting a research in a particular area, he should have a basic knowledge related to a research. Unless otherwise he doesn't have a minimum basic knowledge related to the particular area, we can get the output, but the output may not be accurate. The output may not be accurate. So that's the reason why the researcher should have a minimum knowledge related to the particular problem area. So how we can able to extract a minimum knowledge related to the particular area from textbooks, other books, magazines, articles, and he has to read a lump sum of all these things. When he can able to read all these things, ultimately he can able to improve his knowledge. So once if he is full knowledge enough, then later on if he try to conduct a research, the essence of the research is you will get a good essence of the research. You will get a good essence of the research. With a half knowledge, when he tried to conduct a research, and whatever the output that we are trying to extract from a particular research, it may not be viable and it may not be useful for the welfare of the society. And whatever the time he has been spent to run that particular research, it will become a scrap. It will become a scrap. It will become a scrap research. So because of, he's not skilled enough. And in fact, a researcher should have a strong knowledge over statistical calculations also. Should have a strong knowledge over descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Unless otherwise, the research that we cannot drive in a right direction, and we cannot get an accurate output from a particular research. So that's the reason why whoever is conducting a research in a particular area, he should be skilled. He should have a skilled enough. He should be a skilled person. Even he may not have a skill, he has to enhance his skill levels. Understood? So that is what the concept related to a lack of skilled researchers. And the next one, data manipulation. This is the main and the major phenomena that we are encountering in nowadays. So the data manipulation, data misrepresentation, these things like whatever the output that we are extracting from a particular problem area, as it is we have to show. As it is, we need to convert it into in the form of findings. But the thing, what exactly is happening? We are trying to manipulate the outcome of the research, and we are trying to show whatever we want to show, and whatever that particular company management want to see, the same thing that we are trying to show over there. So that's what we call the data manipulation or data misrepresentation. Data manipulation or data misrepresentation. So it's all about holistic in nature. When your researcher is not honest enough, ultimately it will drive towards data manipulation. And we should not manipulate the data. Whatever the outcome of the research has come from a particular area, as it is, we need to represent to the management for an effective decision making. Right? So all these are the various aspects which will fall under the limitations of business research. So the limitations of business research will speaks about lack of funds to researchers and more centralized database facilities to get the literature from various sources. No coordination among the researchers. The researchers should have a strong coordination among them. And the lack of library management, should have a digital library facility to extract the contents related to the problem area. And the absence of ethics in research, right? The candidate, one who is conducting a research, the scholar should be an honest person, and we should never encourage unethical research. And lack of proper contacts between the research departments, no trust on researchers, lack of skilled researchers, lack of data manipulation. And all these are the various concepts that we can able to see in the area of limitations of business research. Okay, I hope you understand this session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.